Well. Welcome to another episode of SKST Radio, and you tuned into the Grayson Show. And today is Arthur's Network, and I have a very special guest. I met last year, and we finally got up to made it together to hook up this year. He goes by the name of Donald Thomas. How are you doing, Donald?
Doing fine. Thank you for having me. Aloha to all of you there.
Aloha. So he's in Hawaii. So what time is it there?
It is 1 minute after 1 in the afternoon.
Oh my gosh. His whole day is just like started giving me flashbacks because my day started all over. I cannot wait for 5 o'clock today. It was just one of those days. So,
Okay.
Donald, tell people you are in Hawaii. How did you get to Hawaii? Were you born there or what happened? How'd you get there?
No, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. As a matter of fact, I'm from Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. I come from the same street that Mike Tyson grew up on. I come from Amboy Street between Riverdale and Livonia. The first
Oh,
27 years
wow.
of my life, I had one zip code, 11212, Brownsville. And at the age of approximately 23, I wrote a book called Philosophy of Divine Nutrition. And the following year, I used that book to break a Guinness Book World Record. And in the process of breaking that world record, I wrote to several places, and one of the places was in Hawaii. And as a result of promoting health and nutrition, they made me an offer of a 50% reduction in lodging. And I said, okay, half off. As I say to people, November of 1981, I got on a jet plane with a one-way ticket in my hand, and I've been in Hawaii ever since.
I know that's right. That's great. That's great. So is Hawaii still treating you well?
Hawaii's treated me very well. I'm retired now. I worked for 10 years for Legal Aid Society of Hawaii exclusively as a Social Security disability advocate, but also been involved in many things in the name of health promotion since I've been to Hawaii. I say to people, I came to Hawaii in November of 1981. January 1982, I was giving a lecture at the University of Hawaii under the auspices of the American Heart Association. And I was with the Heart Association for over 20 some odd years promoting jump rope for heart and nutrition. So Hawaii embraced me from day one.
Wow. That's amazing. So how did you get into the nutrition thing?
My mother was a Southern cook, but she always believed in a lot of fruits and vegetables. And so the idea of a high fiber diet was something that I was always into. I can remember as a little child, she used to make salads and things like that. Of course, I ate the typical meat like anyone else. But as time went on, my interest was always science. And as time went on, nutrition and biochemistry was really what interests me. I had various illnesses myself. I had a very painful knee disease when I was approximately 12 years of age. And I used to think, oh, I'm going to drink a lot of milk, and that milk will help build strong bones. And as I got
Right.
more and more into nutrition, I found out that that was the exact opposite. And I've had knee surgery on both knees at the age of 19 as a result of that. So those things, as well as respiratory illnesses every year, got me more and more into health and nutrition. And one thing led to the other. And there was a school in Harlem called the Tree of Life that had a broad section of books on nutrition, as well as an herbalist by the name of Dr. John Moore. And I studied at that school for a number of years. And it's at that school that I wrote the book, Philosophy of Divine Nutrition. And as I say, one thing led to the other.
Oh wow. Amazing. Amazing. So this little thing in the background here. And it has, what is it? The new jump swing? What is
New
that?
Jump Swing. New Jump Swing is a jump rope exercise program as well as a complete health and fitness program developed by me. Make you laugh. While I was laying in the hospital recovering from knee surgery, someone gave me several books, and one of the magazines was on running, but they had an article on rope jumping. And the whole point of when you run, you come down with 3 to 5 times your weight. If you learn how to jump rope properly, you're learning how to be light on your feet. And so while I was recuperating from knee surgery, I was first introduced to rope jumping. And after a few years, however, of convalescing, I then got into rope jumping. And the American Heart Association has been one of the largest proponents of rope jumping, not only for cardiovascular health, but as a way of teaching fitness, nutrition, goal setting, et cetera, et cetera. So
Mhm.
just one thing led to the other. I taught school in Brownsville. And one of the things that I taught the kids was physical fitness with rope jumping and weight training and so on.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So, okay, so I guess that has nothing to do with the Spider-Man nickname.
Well, yeah, part of New Jump Swing, Spider-Man swings. And so part of New Jump Swing is that the New Jump Swing jump rope program, you swing the rope at least a third of the time, if not more. But my Spider-Man nickname came about when I was a camper in New York. And also in the world of comic book collecting, Superman, Batman, Amazing Spider-Man are the three most valuable. My Amazing Spider-Man collection started with number two. So I have every Spider-Man there is, and
Oh,
now
wow.
and now I have my own online store. And so people ask me, well, when you going to start selling that? I said, well, when I retire. So I retired a few years ago. So I started an online store in which I sell those comic books. But yeah, my Spider-Man name came about not only because of the Spider-Man collection, but because Spider-Man as a swinger and New Jump Swing, you swing the rope.
Gotcha, gotcha. Sound interesting. So you've been just kind of living it up and enjoying your life right now, huh?
I've overcome many illnesses and many challenges, and despite those challenges and illnesses, I've tried to live as high a quality of life as I could possibly live. It does, as I say, everyone has burdens. The whole point is, how do you carry those burdens, and do you carry those burdens to its ultimate conclusion? You just don't stand there with
Mhm.
those burdens. You let those you go on. A beast of burden. You just don't put all of the stuff on the animal, and it stays there. The beast of burden is put things on them to go somewhere. So,
Right.
as I say, I started as a dead end kid in Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. I live in Hawaii now. I own my own home in Hawaii. So,
Wow.
there's been many steps between that day and today.
Nice, nice. So now let's get into your writing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you got going on. You got a few books.
I have a
So,
few books out. I'm an independent publisher. The first book I wrote was called Philosophy of Divine Nutrition, a basic overall concept of health and martial arts, in part inspired by the late Bruce Lee's concept of Jeet Kune Do, but also advocating what is now referred to as whole food, plant-based nutrition. The second book that I wrote was called The Way of PDN, the Ultimate Vegetarian Athletic Nutrition Program. And in that book, I was advocating what can athletes use for more energy, stamina, and recovery other than drugs. I don't care whether you use that drug or not. Eventually, you're going to get caught, and whatever you achieve, they're going to take it from you. And so I was
right.
advocating these things in the 1970s and 80s. My first two books I used to break Guinness Book World Records in public speaking. So I'm a non-denominational minister. Philosophy of Divine Nutrition is the 93-hour sermon listed in the Guinness Book of Records 1980 through 1984. The book, The Way of PDN, the Ultimate Vegetarian Athletic Nutrition Program, I use that to do two Guinness records in after dinner speaking. What can you
Okay.
eat? What can you eat for dinner that will give you enough energy to break a world record after eating the dinner? Most people after Thanksgiving dinner want to go to sleep.
Ready to go to sleep.
And
That
so the point,
itis.
sure. And again, remember, first record I did was 1978. Dick Gregory had done his run from California to New York that same year. And he said he used a Formula 4X. That Formula 4X became the basis for the Dick Gregory Bahamian diet. Uh, I did my record that same year. Now, Dick
Okay.
Gregory, being Dick Gregory, he was able to maximize what he used to to market it into that diet program. In 1984-85, I came back from Hawaii to work with the Dick Gregory program. Uh,
Okay.
did a did a few TV shows with Dick Gregory, promoted the flower pollen and things of that nature. So the idea is that I've always been involved in health promotion, especially in the Black community, because one of the things that I had researched before they put a title to it was minority health disparities, higher rates of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, etc.,
Mhm.
within the Black community. In the 1970s and 80s, this was something that a lot of people just was not willing to listen to. Uh,
Right.
it's a lot more available to people nowadays. So, like anything, you have to be willing to kind of step out If you know you're talking something that makes sense, you have to be willing to step out. And people tease me. They say, well, Donald, the whole point is when you did those records, people would say, yeah, so what? So he did the record. He still takes the same number 3 train I take. He said, when you move to Hawaii, that kind of said, that's how far Bean Sprouts was able to take you. So,
Right. Well, you know what? So let's take it back a little bit. So people, African American people, um, basically, it's kind of like that cycle, right? So our parents were used to eating a certain way.
yes,
They were used to getting, I call table scraps, what's
yes,
left over
yes,
from, like the hog, or that's where all the chitlins and all the pig feed and all the stuff that was rejected by the other people. So we got accustomed to it. We got accustomed to serving it up, making it good,
good, taste,
and and it's instilled in us, right? So it's
yes.
your grandparents, your great grandparents, and your great grandparents. It's their home cooking. It's their meals, and everybody, you're in love with it because that's all you know, right?
Right,
You didn't
right.
know that it wasn't that healthy for your heart. You didn't know that because that's all we had.
That's all we had, and we made the best of it. But remember something, as I always used to say to people, if you grew up on a farm, you can go to Kentucky Fried Chicken right now and get 12 chicken legs. You couldn't kill 6 chickens if you had a farm back in that day. So the people are eating much more now than they used to eat if people were working. If you were doing physical labor, you were out there doing it. They call it aerobics now, a man in back of a mule. That's
Mm,
aerobics now, but you were out there no less than 6 hours a day walking in the sun. The people, my mother used to talk, my mother's from South Carolina, and she used to say, candy was a luxury that they would maybe get on the weekend. It wasn't like
mhm.
something that you could have 24/7. Anytime you thought of it, you could have it. So many of the things that we've gotten into now, we're still eating like we were working on the farm.
Right,
And, poor people especially, I may not have the material things, but I have a full refrigerator. And
right.
that's a feeling of some sort of security, as they say, food insecurity or food security. But it's the sort of things that we're eating now that contributes to our higher rates of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, etc.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
with education, with shows like yours and so many others, people are willing to at least. No one woke up this morning and say, "I hope I'm suffering today." No
Right,
one wants to suffer. And
right.
if you're telling people and you're speaking to people in a respectful manner and trying to present these things in a way that they can relate to, then people at least will be willing to listen a little bit more. And as
Mm,
I say, when you're sick and someone is telling you, well, if you cut down on A, B, and C, you can reduce some of that. Uh, you have to weigh, okay, does it taste that good, or do I want to stop feeling so bad? And
right,
so, you
right.
get that challenge at some point in life.
Well, and it might not seem like a real challenge to healthy people because they've overcome that, right? But
Right.
when you're not so healthy or you don't have the means, because keep in mind, to eat healthy is expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be expensive in the sense that if you're trying to eat as much of the good stuff as you were eating of the bad food is cheap. Okay.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's one of the challenges that you have. You can have it your way and you can have that meal for $3.99 or whatever the case may be. And it's high in salt, saturated fat, and everything else. And so it's why the first thing you need is education.
Mhm.
And you really start looking at, okay, what are reasonable steps that I can take to improve myself? I always start off with people: drink more water. And I don't care what source your water is, you want to get a water filter to filter that water out. I had a friend of mine, he had a water distiller, and he said, Donald, he said, the first time I distilled water from my sink, the stuff that I saw at the bottom of that sill, he said, I'll never go back to drinking
Ooh.
faucet water again. So you start off with drinking more water. If you drink more water, that will help your complexion. If you're having digestion problems, constipation, just starting off your morning with more water. Of course, if you have to go to work, you wait till you get to work before you start drinking all that water because you don't want to get caught there on the road or on the train or anything. But the point is, bad habits are easy to develop. Good habits are hard to develop.
Yeah, yeah,
One of the reasons that I'm a life coach is because I know that people just can't jump and go from A to Z overnight. But that's why writing the books, doing the talking, presenting these things more and more, that's the way to really kind of get people to first and foremost just listen to these things. And as I say,
right,
no one woke up this morning saying, I hope I'm disabled today. You know,
right,
no one wants to be sick. No one wants to be sick to their stomach all day long or feel weak all day long. And so the more
right.
you hear about these things, the more you will begin to say, well, if you're telling me that there are alternatives, let me at least begin to look into that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the thing is, you can you can write these books, you can put stuff in front of people, but until they're actually ready, there's nothing we can do about it.
Nothing you can do. And I've said that many a times. I said, when people get it, that's when they were supposed to get it. How many years they had the warning on the side of the cigarette pack that is dangerous? People, you know, my closest friend in the world passed away about 2 or 3 years ago. He known me
I'm
since we were
sorry.
4 and 6 years of age. Start off
Wow.
every morning with a Newport cigarette. Okay. He's still my closest friend. Still love him. He's the brother that I had. I'm an only child. He's the brother that I never had. But
Right.
until they are ready, even if you are an example, until that person is ready to make the change, even the example right in front of them is not going to do it. They have
Exactly.
to see it.
Yeah.
And his passing is always the most a strong point to me. I can be very sincere and want to see people change. The closest person to me standing right in front of me, start off the morning with a Newport,
Yeah.
hospitalized twice for respiratory problems and still smoke.
And still
So
wanted a Newport.
until they are ready, until they are ready, and at the same time, you don't call yourself chastising people, especially adults. You don't
Yeah.
chastise
Yeah.
adults because all they're going to do is do more of the bad thing.
Well, I mean, that's like your kid, right? If you get on them, they're gonna just go behind your back and do
Go
it.
behind your back. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
know.
So the best thing you can do is just be an example, be there for them when they're ready. And as a lady that I know we call her Grandma Jones, she says, son, I want you to accept the fact some of them may never be ready, but you
Yeah.
just be available to all of them. And when they are ready for you, you're ready for them.
Wow. It's amazing. Well, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back after these messages. Well, if you just tuned in, you haven't tuned in too late. You tuned into the Cami Grayson Show, and I'm here with Mr. Donald Thomas. And we are having an interesting conversation about health. Mr. Thomas has wrote how many books? Three, four books?
Three, three.
Three books. And so he's the guy that you need to talk to. He's a life coach, and he's the person that you need to talk to about nutrition. He's the person that can help you get to where you need to be health wise. And so, Donald, tell people how they could get in contact with you.
Well, my website is newjumpswing.com. And from there, you can read more about my program. You can read more about my consultations and what I provide. That is the number one way to contact me, newjumpswing.com, one word.
New Jump Swing. Hey,
Yeah, not new jack, new jump.
the new jump.
New jump swing. Yeah.
All right. So let's go into so we talked about how most people have gotten where they are, the history. So let's talk about now the present. Now that we know that those things are bad for us. Let's get into your book. How can your book help people realize this is not the right way to go and you need to take your health serious?
Good question. Again, the name of my book is called New Jump Swing: Healthy Aging and Athletic Nutrition Program. The last chapter of my book is called Minority Health Disparities: Second Class Citizenship is Bad for Your Health. And I give a breakdown of each minority as far as heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, etc. Native Hawaiian, Native Alaskan, Native American, African American, Asian American, Polynesian American, Hispanic American. Each group is broken down into what are the health challenges for those specific groups. One of the things that I've tried to get across, especially within the African American community, is that Heart Association is a nonprofit agency. You should contact through your pastor, through the secretary of your church. You contact the Heart Association to have them send the literature that is a part of their mission. There should be no Black church that doesn't have that Heart Association literature. Heart disease is the #1 killer in America, #1 killer among Black people.
Wow.
Same thing goes for the Cancer Society, Diabetes Association. African American women have one of the highest rates of diabetes, adult onset diabetes, which is the type of diabetes that you get from your diet, from your lifestyle. Your
Mm.
type 1, you're born with. Type 2, you get that through lifestyle. So, first, second, and third, my book is designed to make people aware this thing called health is not for white people only.
Right.
And that was an attitude when I left New York in the 80s and so on. That was very much the attitude that was something for the white society, had nothing to do with people of color. And the bottom line, we needed more. uh,
Yeah.
One of the points that I say to people: a sick soldier cannot win a war. And what I mean by that is, we as a people, regardless of how willing our spirit is, our flesh is weak. I'm the
Mhm.
former president of the board of directors of the Hawaii Protection and Advocacy Agency. Every state in America has a protection and advocacy agency dedicated
Wow.
to the human, legal, and civil rights of people with disabilities. African Americans have one of the highest rates of disabilities in this country. As a Social Security disability advocate, I represent people who have disabilities that meet that standard. But as
Mhm.
I say to people all the time, don't work all your life just to wind up giving the money to the doctor and the pharmacist, because now you're all burnt out and spent, and
Right.
you can't enjoy your life. So,
Right.
I mean, what's the sense of working every day if at the end of the day, again, you wind up giving the majority of the money to the doctor and the pharmacist? You
You
can,
know what? And people are people are actually working so they can pay for their medication and their, you know what I mean? It's like
yes,
that's the only reason why I'm here,
right.
because you know I just never wanted to be that person that have to rely on that medication. You know.
Yeah, I mean, if you need it, you need it. But the point is that there's so many things that you can do to reduce many of these illnesses or reduce the severity. And nobody's getting out of life. Okay, everybody's going to die. But why should you
Eventually,
die?
everyone goes.
Why should you die before your time? And why should you suffer needlessly? And if
Mm.
there are things out here that can help reduce your pain and suffering, why are you not availing yourself to it? This is America. There are places, if you need a wheelchair, you crawl. You stay in one room just about the whole day. In America, you can get wheelchair, you can get crutches, you can get whatever you need. Don't deny yourself all of the help that is out here for you. And again, we as a people have some of the highest rates of disability.
Mhm.
We have to even be more aware. But there's a gentleman who used to be the head of the protection and advocacy in Hawaii, and he would come to the mainland to their meetings. And when he would come back, one of the things that he always said was, they always complain that there's not enough Black people using the services of the protection and advocacy agencies in the United States. If you
Wow.
have a disability and you're a person of color and you feel that you've been discriminated against in any way, the protection and advocacy in your state may be a free legal service to help you deal with that issue. But I'm going, but so my point again, and I say these things in my book.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. So the bottom line is that I want to make people aware of the fact that I had a knee disease at the age of 12. I've developed a jump rope exercise program.
Yeah.
Every winter, I would have a sinusitis to the point that I would miss days of school, and I found out that the milk and the other things that I was consuming, that was clogging me up, and like I say, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And
Yeah.
I decided to try to do something for myself. But start off with that water. Just drink more water, and I'm pushing that. If you don't remember anything else I said, I'm not telling you to take any kind of supplement. I want you to drink more water, especially in the summertime. There has been a tremendous increase in death due to heat over the past 10 to 20 years. And that
Right.
heat will kill more people than the cold. So it's really important for people to just consume more water, just more water, no soda, no Kool-Aid, just more pure water. And as I say, you get yourself a
So,
water
Donald, let me ask you this. Why is it people don't like water?
like anything else. Our
I
taste
mean, to
buds,
drink.
yeah, because our taste buds have been conditioned. When they talk about the type of baby food, when you have baby food that starts off with a certain amount of salt or a certain amount of sugar in that baby food, you get used to that taste. And so when somebody hands you something without salt, it's bland. The same thing, if you're used to drinking high sweetened fruit juices or soda, your taste buds are used to that taste. And somebody says, well, here's water. You say, well, that's flat. There's nothing to that, And so, and again, you introduce yourself to these things after you have read enough to know. Here's one of the analogies I give people. If you are listening to me today and you own a car, your car takes diesel fuel. If you go to a first gas station and that gas station doesn't have diesel fuel, you're not going to put anything else in there. You're going
Right.
to drive until you can get to a gas station that has the right fuel for your car. You have to take that same strictness with yourself. If you put something other than that diesel fuel in the car, you're going to mess it up. The more you read about health and nutrition, the more you understand, the more you put that high sugar stuff in your system, you are messing it up.
Mm.
And so you just have to know these things. And as long as it takes for you to educate yourself, that's time well spent, because you are learning why you shouldn't put that stuff in your body and why you should
Right.
put those other things in your body. That's the only way it's going to do. And as I say, if you have a diesel engine, you're not putting any other kind of fuel in that car but diesel. And that's the point to me. And you know why. So that's the same thing with drinking water. You're not used to it. And don't try
Mhm.
to say, okay, well, today I'm going to drink 3 glasses of water at one time. No, you may want to start yourself off with half a glass. But
Right.
every morning you take a half a glass and just get used to it. As I say, bad habits are easy to pick up. Good habits are hard to pick up. You have to really work at it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. So now, let's talk more about your book. So now that we got all of this, you've shown us all what we need to do. You told us all what we need to do. Now, I think if people would actually purchase your book, um, you said something about it being the text of the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Okay. Well, we'll start with one thing. Currently, the book that I have out is called New Jump Swing: Healthy Aging and Athletic Nutrition Program. It's available through Amazon.com. If you go to my website, New Jump Swing, you can download the book. I also have a audio version of the book as well, and you can order both of those through my website, newjumpswing.com. So that's how to get the book right here and now. What I did with my first 2 books, I used my books to actually break Guinness Book World Records in public speaking. So for those people who have old Guinness books, or you go to the library, I'm in the 1986 and 87 Guinness Book of Records for speaking on the subject, The History of Herbs in Maintaining Physical Fitness. I'm in the 1989 Guinness Book of Records with a picture. The title of the speech, Vegetarian Athletic Nutrition. And
Okay.
then I'm in the 1980 1, 2, 3, and 4 Guinness Book for the longest sermon. And I have a picture in the Guinness cartoons for the sermon.
Yeah, my dad made the Guinness Book of Records. I cannot remember. I remember seeing. We used to have the book actually when I was younger.
Sure.
He was Curtis Coates, welterweight champion of the world back in the '60s,
Oh, okay.
and he was in there. I think it was because he held his title too short or something like that. You know, his
Oh, that's
title got
cool.
taken away from him real short, and
Ah,
so they had him in the book for the world's shortest title owner or
that'll
something.
hold.
But
Okay.
I know he stayed. I remember us having that book. You know, our dad's in this book, so
Yeah.
I got to find that. I have to look that up and see if I can find him. I know
Yeah.
that was back in the
What year is
'60s.
it? Oh, it's in the
Back in
60s.
the
Okay, that's
'60s,
before me.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so
So,
I
yeah,
do
so
remember seeing that.
I'm a I was a self-published author, and so I use that Guinness Book as a way of marketing, of promotion. Guinness Book is internationally recognized, and so by using my books are the world record speeches. So as I say to people, I just don't claim to have a diet that will give you more energy. I claim to have a diet that will give you more energy long enough to hold 3 Guinness Book World Records, making the claim.
Wow,
The books are the world records.
it's
So
amazing.
yeah, so the whole idea is, again, put it to the test.
Yeah.
I claim that there were herbs that you could take for more energy. And again, I remind people, 1978, there was no such thing as an energy drink market. Herbal teas are $1 billion industry today. And none of that stuff was out when I did those first records. So,
Mhm.
I'm happy to kind of point to all of the things that I hold world records talking about. And now they are major industries. And I can say my talk was never cheap.
Wow, wow. So now we're growing close to the end of our show. But can you please, Donald, give people, if someone's trying to be just like you are right today, what type of words of wisdom would you give them?
Well, how many minutes do I have? There's a lady that said something to me very interesting. She said to me, she said, Donald, there are 2 trains that you can take in life. There's the express train and there's the local train. She said, now, for all the reasons I don't have to get into, you're not on an express train, you're on a local train. But never forget, the end of the line for the local is the same end of the line for the express. And when you get off the train, you'll have more experience. You'll have seen more. You'll have a better appreciation for the lay of the land that you cross. Don't get upset when you see those people in that express train whiz right by you. You just stay on the train. And so
Mhm.
that's what I would say to people when you decide to get on a life path that is positive. It's not going to be overnight. I said to young people, jive and get over by definition is going to produce a faster result than hard work and sacrifice.
Mm.
But in the end, hard work and sacrifice will give you greater respect and a greater sense of accomplishment. So you have to decide what path you're going to take in life.
I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Donald, tell people again how they can get your book, how they can purchase your book.
Name of the website is newjumpswing.com. And the name of the book is New Jump Swing, Healthy Aging and Athletic Nutrition Program, available in both print as well as in audio.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. After a year,
After a year, hey, everything happens for a
we
reason.
can't let it go that long next time.
I picked this. I picked this date, though she's passed away. Today is my mother's birthday, and I picked this date, and I said I wanted to do something special. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
very grateful to you. This will be a day that I never forget it anyway. But this will certainly be a day that I will
Well,
remember.
I feel so honored. I feel so honored. Thank you so much. And thank you for choosing this special date to be on the show, too, as
Yes,
well.
yes.
So I can't wait to get to Hawaii because I feel like you just having yourself too much fun by yourself over there.
I'll tell people next month on the 21st of September I'll be 71 years old.
Amazing. You look good. You look good.
I'm hanging in there, baby.
Well, they say black don't crack, so you know what? You're doing good. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay positive, and keep motivating people like myself. You know, we need it. We absolutely need it. Life is just
Thank
too
you for
short.
having me. Thank you for
Thank you
having me.
so
And
much.
I'll
Okay,
be
until
very pleased to
next
come
week,
back.
right here, SKST Radio. Tell them bye, Donald.
Aloha.
Oh, yeah, aloha.